When I ran toward the gazebo, I was too late. Patricia, the HOA president, already had the clippers in her hand. The sound was sharp electric. She called it discipline. I called it what it really was, humiliation. And by the time this story ends, I'll show you exactly how I made her lose everything she used to control us. My name's Ethan Vale. I'm a forensic psychologist. I study people who hide cruelty behind rules. I never thought one of them would show up in my own neighborhood holding authority over my wife's body like she owned it. We lived in a place called Lakewood Meadows. It's the kind of neighborhood that sells itself with phrases like community harmony and shared values. Every lawn looks the same. Every mailbox matches every house painted in one of 3 approved shades of beige. And at the top of it all sat Patricia Lent, self-appointed guardian of order. She didn't run the HOA. She ruled it. That morning, my wife Clara was setting up flowers for the neighborhood's Spring Harmony Fair. It was supposed to be her first public outing since finishing chemo. Her hair had just started to grow back, soft, uneven, a symbol of survival. Patricia took one look and said loud enough for the entire park to hear, "She's violating community appearance standards again." Before anyone could react, Patricia pulled a cordless clipper from her bag like she'd planned it. Either she lets me fix it or she's fined for non-compliance. Clara froze. Her hands were shaking over the table of flowers. I stepped between them. "Touch her again," I said quietly, "and I'll make sure that hand never holds another position of authority." Patricia smiled, a brittle, condescending smile. "You can't threaten the board, Dr. Vale. You signed the bylaws." "Maybe," I said, "but I also know which of those bylaws you forged." For a second her grin cracked. Then she turned and strutted off like she'd already won. But that moment, that smirk, that certainty she could rewrite the rules of decency, that's what changed everything for me. By the next morning, the HOA newsletter was on every doorstep. Patricia had written a piece about maintaining dignity when illness challenges our sense of order. She didn't use Clara's name, but everyone knew. Neighbors waved awkwardly, then looked away. The silence was worse than the insult. I work with abusers. I know their patterns, controlled, disguised as concern. Patricia had weaponized community, and I wasn't going to let her. I went to the clubhouse that afternoon. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and fear. The receptionist told me I couldn't see meeting minutes without board authorization. That told me everything. Patricia ran this place like a private regime. Outside, the maintenance guy, Aaron Bell, was trimming hedges. When I asked what he thought of what happened at the fair, he just said, "She's got pull here, Doc. Best to keep your head down." The irony of that line hit like a punch. That night I started digging. The HOA's website kept every document neatly archived, minutes, amendments, newsletters. And every wellness standard Patricia had enforced was dated during fake emergency sessions with no resident signatures. She'd built a legal illusion, and everyone had bought it. Then came the wellness inspections. Saturday, 9:00 a.m. Every house required to be reviewed. Patricia walked from yard to yard with a clipboard, 2 board members following like soldiers. She wrote violations for grass height, mailbox color, even the wrong kind of porch light. When she reached our house, she called out, "Your grass exceeds community standards, doctor. Shall I add another violation?" "Add whatever you want," I said. "Every notice you post is traceable." Her smile faltered, but she didn't respond. Aaron was standing behind her, pretending to take photos of lawns. But when the camera clicked, the lens wasn't aimed at the grass, it was aimed right at Patricia's sneer. That small act, maybe unintentional, was the first honest thing anyone had done in that neighborhood. Days later, I found Aaron waiting by the park. He looked like a man torn in half. "She's going too far," he said. "Those inspections weren't even approved. She just told us to do them." "Did she document any votes?" I asked. He shook his head. "She doesn't let anyone see the drafts. Says it's board business." He hesitated, then whispered, "I've got copies of her messages, but if she finds out I'm talking—" "She won't," I said. "And when the time comes, they'll save more than your job." That night, an email landed in my inbox forwarded from Aaron. Subject line, Wellness Enforcement Initiative. Every line was signed by Patricia herself. Corrective measures. Non-compliance. Disciplinary appearance standards. It wasn't governance, it was psychological warfare. But proof alone isn't enough. Power doesn't collapse from silence. It collapses from exposure. So I went to someone who knew how to make noise, a journalist named Dana Myers. She'd taken down a corrupt school board 2 years earlier. When I handed her the emails, she read a few lines and said, "This isn't a policy. This is abuse disguised as order." "Exactly," I told her. "And it's about to get worse." Because Patricia didn't retreat. She doubled down. Flyers appeared on every door warning residents about misinformation spread by certain individuals. No names needed. Everyone knew who she meant. Clara handed me one of those flyers with trembling fingers. "She's isolating you," she said softly. "She's isolating everyone," I replied. "That's how control works." For a moment I doubted myself. Maybe I was making it worse. Maybe this was just how these neighborhoods worked: rules, order, compliance. Maybe I should just let it go, sell the house, start over somewhere quieter. Then I looked at Clara, sitting by the window, her head still showing the uneven patches where hair was growing back, and I realized silence would be another form of surrender. So I didn't back down. When Patricia announced her next event, the Wellness Revival mandatory attendance Thursday night at the gazebo, I knew it was her last performance. That evening the place looked like a cult meeting. Strings of pastel lights, folding chairs in perfect rows, a banner that read, "Restoring Harmony." Patricia stood at the mic, all pearls and lipstick, acting like a preacher of purity. "Our neighborhood thrives when we look our best," she began, "when we behave our best, and when we support the leaders who protect that vision." Then her tone sharpened. "But lately certain individuals have chosen division over discipline." Her eyes flicked toward Clara, sitting quietly at the back. That was it. I stepped forward. "Is this your version of healing? Patricia, public humiliation as therapy? You're disrupting an official event," she snapped. "Official," I laughed. "The county already confirmed your bylaws were never ratified. You've been running a fake government." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Patricia's face drained. "That's nonsense." Aaron, standing behind the soundboard, hit a button. Her own voice filled the speakers recorded earlier that evening. "Make sure everyone attends. I want them to see what happens when one household refuses compliance." Silence, then whispers, then outrage. Patricia lunged for the mic. "He's manipulating recordings. This is slander." But no one moved to help her. Not one person. I watched Aaron's hands tremble on the control board, his chest rising with the kind of shaky breath that only comes after years of fear. Clara stood up beside me, her voice steady. "You call this a revival? Then let's revive something worth saving." The crowd erupted, voices, overlapping, people filming. Patricia shouted over them, but her words drowned under the sound of 100 people finally realizing they'd been controlled. That video, her voice ordering punishment, spread online before sunrise. And once truth escapes, you can't cage it again. By the next morning, county investigators were calling. The HOA was officially under review. Patricia responded with a cease and desist letter claiming I'd recorded a private event. It was laughable. The event had been publicly advertised and mandatory. Aaron found me later that day near the maintenance shed. His face was pale, but his resolve was solid. He handed me a flash drive. "These are the board's recordings." She didn't know the clubhouse system auto-records meetings. On the files, Patricia bragging humiliation builds compliance. Fear keeps harmony. It made my blood run cold. But it was the proof we needed. Dana's team verified the files, prepped a full exposé. The headline read, "HOA President Accused of Fraud, Coercion, and Emotional Abuse." I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt tired. Because I knew what came next, Patricia's last stand. She called an emergency meeting at the pavilion. Attendance mandatory. I arrived early. She was already there, arranging chairs with robotic precision. "Still playing hero," she said. "No," I told her. "Just documenting." She smirked. "You think one story will erase everything I've built?" "Maybe not," I said. "But the footage will outlast you." That night the pavilion overflowed with people. Phones out recording. Patricia climbed the steps and began her speech, her voice sharp, desperate. "Residents of Lakewood Meadows, certain individuals have spread lies to destroy this community. But I—" "You mean the board that no longer exists?" I interrupted. "Half your members resigned this morning after hearing your recordings." She froze. "That's a lie." "Check your inbox," I said. "They quit before this meeting started." Gasps again, whispers rippling through the crowd. Then my phone buzzed, Dana's text. "We're live." At that moment, every phone in the audience lit up. Patricia's voice echoed from a dozen speakers. "Make examples out of them. Humiliation keeps them compliant." Patricia screamed. "Turn that off, that's fake, this is defamation." But nobody turned it off. Aaron stepped forward, his maintenance shirt soaked with sweat. "You told us we were protecting the neighborhood," he said, voice shaking. "But we were protecting you." Patricia spun toward him. "You ungrateful—" "No, ma'am," he said firmly. "You're the one who forgot gratitude." Thunder cracked overhead. Rain started to fall cold and sudden, but no one left. The sound of it only made her shouting smaller. I stepped closer to the stage. "Patricia Lint, chairwoman of the Lakewood Meadows HOA." I said, my voice cutting through the rain. "You are under county investigation for fraud, coercion, and harassment." Her clipboard hit the ground. For a long second she just stood there, drenched, trembling eyes darting between the crowd and me. Then she turned, climbed down the steps, and walked away. No cheers, no victory cries, just a long collective exhale. By morning the county took over the HOA. All fines suspended. Patricia's office locked. Her SUV gone. When the investigators opened her computer, they found everything. Emails, unauthorized surveillance photos, records of every person she'd humiliated, every file stamped with her initials. The official announcement came 3 days later. Lakewood Meadows HOA dissolved leadership under criminal review. Patricia didn't show up. Her attorney had already withdrawn. That night I walked past the gazebo, rain still clinging to the wood. The place looked smaller now, stripped of its false dignity. Clara stood there touching the railing where she'd once been shamed. Her hair had grown thicker, fuller. She turned to me and said quietly, "You think she'll ever understand what she did?" "No," I said. "People like her don't understand. They only stop when someone makes them." For a moment we just stood there, listening to the faint echo of water dripping from the roof, the neighborhood finally quiet. And I thought about everything Patricia had tried to build, her empire of silence, her illusion of order. It had all collapsed the same way it was built, through fear. Because when fear breaks, power follows. Lesson: never let anyone disguise control as kindness. The moment they do, they've already decided you belong to them.